Hello, okay, let me talk to them first. Excuse me, talk show.
You want the American dream. You want the life, the liberty, the happiness. But until you get there, until you achieve your goals and make your dreams come true, you know what you have. You have the journey, the hustle, the climb. I'm Kelsey Humphreys, and this is The Pursuit.
Thank you for joining me in Livermore, California. I am fresh off a speaking gig that I did in San Jose, which, if you're wondering why this art major from Oklahoma ended up speaking to a bunch of engineers in Silicon Valley, I'm not sure. No, I'm just kidding. Obviously, I didn't talk to engineers about engineering. I was talking about entrepreneurial employees and employee retention and stuff, but before my presentation, someone asked me what my background was, and I was like, graphic design, because I was super intimidated. But it went well. I'm also a little bit intimidated today because I am meeting with a fashionista, which is not necessarily me. But before we jump to her, let's talk a little bit about Livermore, California. Because did you know it has a world record for the longest burning light bulb? Fun fact. Another thing, it is home to a large wine business. It's becoming a wine destination, much like Napa. And lastly, it's home to a giant nuclear weapons testing facility. Now let's just go over those last two, okay? Giant amounts of wine, giant amounts of radioactive material. Anyone else see any issues with this at all? A little bit crazy. But it's okay because Livermore is also home to Alicia Shaffer. She is the founder of Three Bird Nest Designs. After just 3 years in business, her bohemian apparel and accessories brand has become the second best-selling handmade product shop on Etsy, earning more than 86,000 sales, you guys. Alicia, thank you so much for letting us come and hang out with you today.
Thank you for having me.
So let's start, I mean, hopefully by now, if you're anyone who is interested in business or Etsy, you've heard of her. But let's go back before Etsy.
Sure.
Because you actually had, you created an infant sling, right?
Right.
And then you had a brick and mortar store.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So those businesses that you had before, how did that kind of prepare you? What did you learn? Tell us about the setup before your Etsy business.
Sure. So, you know, as a child, I always was doing something and always had a business. So, you know, I think I was born, you know, being an entrepreneur. So, you know, after I graduated college, I did go into the workforce, and it was painful for me. I literally probably changed jobs every 18 months, and I did a lot. I mean, my background's in marketing and public relations, so I did, you know, worked for a police department and did, you know, public relations. I worked for, you know, during the .com era, which was definitely boring for me. And so after I had my first son, I was doing medical sales at the time, and that was when the whole sling kind of concept came. And this was, you know, 2004. And, you know, I made a sling and started, you know, carrying him around town with that. And the moms group, you know, the kind of the typical, oh, everybody wants to know where you got it.
Right.
So, you know, that was really the kind of the foundation for that. But it was my first true, what I would say, business. And that grew quickly from being, you know, just a concept where, you know, the slings were sold out of my house to where we were carried in like all the Babies R Us's and Target.com and everything. So we grew really, really quickly, really, really fast. And for me, I didn't know how to grow. I didn't know scale. I didn't know really how to manage that growth. I knew, oh, this is awesome. I have this successful business and look at all of our sales and, you know, things are fantastic. But I really didn't understand margins. I didn't understand, you know, what you need to do on the back end and make sure if you do have, you know, a couple $1 million in sales that you're not losing money every year. After we had Peanut Shell, which is the name of the business, it was, you know, I did that for about 4.5 years, and we got to the point where I ended up having to sell. It wasn't an option. We had literally, we were into debt. We were personally had guaranteed loans, and it was really, really in a scary, you know, financial situation for both my husband and I, you know, being used to having, you know, an income, and I mean, he still had his job, but when you're living off of two incomes and, you know, I was pregnant, we had 2 kids already, it just was not, I mean, a fun time for us at that,
You learned some lessons the hard way, but then you picked right back up and you had a brick and mortar store, right? You opened a shop?
Yeah, I wouldn't say it was that easy. So we were, I mean, it definitely wasn't that easy because, you know, I literally felt responsible for the loss. I felt responsible to my family for, I'm putting all of them through this horrible time.
You had 3 kids at that point.
Right.
So you guys are both working your tails off. Right. How did you balance it all, you know? I mean, that's probably why you were attracted to the online, you know, Etsy type business.
Right. You know, initially, online wasn't really an option for me at the point, you know, in my mindset was because, you know, I had to do something with the location. I had to do something like immediate. So it wasn't even oh, I'm going to start a business. What am I going to do? What am I going to sell? It was an immediate need of how are we going to, you know, essentially, you know, dig ourselves out of this huge hole we're in. I would go into the store, and if I had an employee that called in sick, I would be in the store with 3 kids. And I mean, at the time they were 9 months.
Oh my.
And yeah, they were 9 months, and then my oldest was 8. So I had, you know, an 8-year-old, a 2-year-old, and a 9-month-old, and all at the same time running around. And it wasn't fun, but you know, we had to do what we had to do. About a year into opening the boutique, I'd made a couple of headbands for the shop, and they sold really good. So I had a gal locally that used to sew for me for my sling business, and so I reached out to her, and I know she needed work because it was her and 15 people that she had sewing locally, all moms that made all of our slings. And so when we went under, like, they did too. So, you know, they had been struggling as well for a year and a half. So for me to even have the opportunity to say, hey, I know it's only $50 a week, but like, did you know, I have a project, you want to take this on? And so she came in and really started helping, you know, with making the headbands and some of the scarves. And this was at the very end of November of 2011.
Okay.
So it was, again, the store was kind of just, you know, making enough to like keep running and pay the rent and, you know, pay the employees, and that was essentially it. We weren't profiting anything. Where I was like, okay, well, I still need a little bit of, you know, money to, you know, pay for, you know, some extracurricular activities for the kids. So it was where that was kind of where the whole concept of, I think I'm going to try to put, you know, the headbands online. It was a natural marketplace for us. I looked down at my tattoo, which I have my arm for my 3 kids. And I was like, what am I going to call it? And you enter in a couple of usernames, and they're all taken. And so I'm like, okay, what am I going to call it? Okay, 3 bird nests. And so, you know, that wasn't taken, and it's just, that was what it stuck. So November 3rd, 2011 was when I clicked, you know, enter, and the actual shop was created.
Yeah, which answers a question that we had from Facebook, which was about, did you start your Etsy business as a side hustle to make side money? And so the answer to that is yes. That's
absolutely.
how you started.
Absolutely. Yep.
Okay, so then, you know, things start to pick up, but a question I got a lot for you from people out there, hello people, was how did you get yourself to stand out? Because it is so saturated, and now even more so than it was a few years ago.
Sure.
So did you have a strategy?
You know, what I did is I took a step back. Once we got to the point of, okay, we have sales coming in, I have an opportunity here. You know, maybe 6 weeks after we opened the shop is where I said, okay, all right, I'm going to do something with that. But initially it was kind of just a hobby, but turning it into a true business, I think is such a huge difference. It's one thing to have a hobby, and it's another thing to have a business. And yes, you can sell things that you do for your hobby, but it's not the same.
Right.
So for me, really looking at everything as a whole, I wanted to make sure that yes, we stood out, we were unique, that the name was already, you know, it was what it was, and I was going to build a brand off of that. So we tried to do some like kitschy things with, you know, tying it into, you know, like we call all of our followers peeps because it's like 3 bird nests. And so we kind of try to tie everything together. So I really put my marketing and PR knowledge that I have to use. And then I started researching. I spent, you know, I was up till 4 a.m. literally every night researching how, like, I wanted to know the ins and outs of Etsy. How do they work? You know, who's successful on there? What information do they have available for me as a new shop to be successful? So I watched all the videos. I watched, you know, everything that they had available. And then I went through their forums and just kind of looked from a marketing standpoint, like some of the most, I looked from a standpoint of what were the complaints that I saw that people were having from, you know, is anybody having sales? Are you seeing trends, you know, trending down for this month? And I wasn't active in the forums, but I listened to them because I wanted to know what it seemed to be the overall problem, why people didn't seem to be getting enough sales to support themselves. So that was kind of my back-end research, and then I sat down and I have my notebook, which, I mean, I have a notebook everywhere, you know, that I carry everywhere with me. And so, you know, I just started making notes, and then I went back to the shop that I already set up and then started changing it based on all of the information that I had found is really what I think was that change of, okay, yeah, we have, you know, 50 sales a week to now we're like, okay, now we're getting 1,000 sales a week. So I mean, it wasn't instant. Right before Christmas, there was a couple of days where we did get 90 orders a day, which was, I mean, at the time it was something ridiculous for me to even be able to manage, and that was really like,
how did you do that? How did you do fulfillment when it was still like just you?
It was everything was at my house. I had one gal that sewed for me, and so she would come pick up the fabric and pick up all the materials and then take the product and then bring it back to my house. And but everything else was done after my kids went to bed, or during nap time, and that was how it was always done. And after they went to bed, it was all like, okay, I have 4 hours to like knock this out before the kids are up and the house is quiet right now. So that was really like my time to get everything done.
Doesn't sound like you got much sleep.
No. Yeah, and it's funny because I'm somebody that like totally needs sleep, but you got to do what you got to do.
Yeah.
So you got to make it happen, and I figured if I'm not working super hard, somebody's behind me that is working harder, that I'm like, okay, well, that's not gonna be the case. Like, I'm gonna be the person that's working the hardest to succeed. So it's that whole, I think, I think for me, because I've tasted failure, I know what it feels like. I know the overwhelming doubt that you have when that happens. I never want to feel that again. So I think I will always have that fear in me of failure. So I think that has had a lot of, for me, like the story and the kind of where I've come from has had a lot to do with the success of the business, because it is what I do. It is it is, I'm every single day, like all day, it is, what I do. And even to this point now, like, to me, we haven't succeeded yet. We're not at a point of where I'll take a deep breath. And I honestly don't know if I'll ever be at that point, but I know for me, we're not anywhere near where I'm okay, like I'm happy, like we've done, we've done a really good job. So
yeah, which I'm sure a lot of people can relate to. I want to go back. You said you were active listening in the forums, and looking for what people were complaining about most. What were those things? Because then that became your strategy. So do you remember what those complaints were?
A lot of what I saw is everybody has, it's like real estate, everyone has their own opinion. And at the time, Etsy's homepage was their treasuries, which is a curation of product photos, and that was how you would get additional views, is you get on their homepage, which means another member within Etsy had to find one of your products and think it was pretty cool and add it to their treasury. So I thought, okay, what can I do that could be consistent with other products that are non-competing products that would allow me to stand out? And, for me at the time, I thought having a cool background would be great, and so that's what we started with. At the brick and mortar store that I owned, we had, behind it in the back is a mural, and it's this brick, and it's this real weird mural. So you can't, like, from a whole, if you take a picture of the whole thing, like, it's interesting, but as a background itself, it worked. And so we took all of the pictures. Alexa worked for me at the store, and so we would lock the door, put up a sign, be back in 15 minutes, and we'd run in the back of the store and take all the pictures, for Three Bird Nest, and go back and then work at the boutique. And, it was kind of, managing both, but from a photography standpoint, that was one. And for me, not copying photography that anybody else was doing something that was original to us as a brand. What is going to make us stand out? Because for me, having a headband on a white background, I would look like everybody else. And I don't care if it was on a model or not. At that time, it wasn't something that would have allowed me to stand out from everybody else. So, making sure that, from a styling standpoint, that we had, like, hairstyles, like the messy bun has, always been, especially over the past couple of years, has been huge. So having, hairstyles that people identify with, oh my gosh, I can wear this headband when I'm wearing a messy bun, or that scarf, I never thought of wearing a knitted scarf as an infinity scarf as a shawl. So just showing, the product in different applications was huge for us. And then looking at your product on Etsy as a whole, just seeing, like, if you needed to crop it, do you need to move it, is it better if you show the eyes, should you not show the eyes, and a lot of it's trial and error. And so initially, a lot of, from going back to the forums, is, people, what I saw is they started with one thing and they stayed. Like, I'm not getting any views, and they have the same photo up for the same product for a year, and they've sold one. So I said, okay, well, to me that seems silly. Why would you do that? So, for me, if I had a product that wasn't moving or wasn't selling, I totally revamped it, we would take another photo, I would change the title, change the description, change the tags. So, you know, I can't tell people what for their shop is going to be, you know, the golden ticket, but I can say if it's not working, change it. I wasn't okay with not getting any sales. You know, once I had that cha-ching on my phone, I'm like, okay, I want to hear that like every minute. So I want that to keep growing, and you know, you have products, you have the customers, the people are there looking for the product. How are you going to get in front of them? So the photography was huge, and the other thing that is, I couldn't get a straight answer from anybody, and still can't, is everybody has their own opinions on the whole tags and SEO and your listing description. And for me, where I saw the most of my traffic was within Etsy. So I said, Etsy's already doing a great job of getting people to come to their site, so I don't need to compete for, you know, this product outside of Etsy. I don't really. So I didn't really spend a lot of time or energy on worrying about, you know, if my products were going to show up in Google, or, you know, if they weren't, because it didn't really matter. I always thought of it as, okay, this customer's walking down this aisle of stores and they all have cute stuff, and some people have, like, you know, the aggressive salesperson out front, so, you know, people avoid them, and some people the presentation's horrid, and other people it's just like oh, I want to go check this out. And that's what I want it to be. I want it to be that, oh, this is interesting to me, and it could have been the shirt that the person, you know, that you know, was in the photo. It could have been my actual product, but whatever it was, I wanted that photo to be clickable. I wanted my photo out of that whole, you know, I think it's 16 photos, to be the one that gets clicked on. And that was really where I spent and have and continue to spend a lot of my time on our Etsy shop. Our website's a whole nother story, but you know, on Etsy, that's really where I've spent a lot of my time. So, and that kind of seems to be the two, and then initially were the two biggest things for, you know, talk on forums.
Man, so much amazing knowledge bombs you're dropping. So let's go, you mentioned like making sure that you stand out, and that kind of brings me to, what about copycats? Because as soon as you start doing something really interesting and different, then people start to copy you. How did you deal with that?
I don't care. I really don't. You know, I initially, actually I shouldn't say I don't care, I do care, but initially I said, what am I going to do? You know, if the thing that drives me the most insane is when people use my name as a tag. Because I'm like, it's I have built this, you haven't. You can't try to get business, and you're not allowed to do that anyways on Etsy, so they'll take you down, which is nice. So we can flag that, but from a design standpoint, and trying to copy photography and trying to copy like our titles and stuff, I don't have the time to look at what people are doing behind me. I don't. Right. I'm looking at, by the time someone's copying me, I already have our next product ready to come out. We've gone to a couple trade shows, and we have who we know. We have, you know, people that are consistently copying our products, and like they'll come by our booth and kind of like try to see what we're doing. And I'm like, that's a horrible place to be in. Why would you want to be in that position of trying to see what that person's doing, to see what ideas you're going to take to make it, because you're already behind. At the end of the day, I don't care. I know what I'm doing for my business, and that's all that matters. Okay, have fun selling that, because it was a really good seller anyway, you know. But it's one of those things where I want to stay true to us. I want to stay true to Three Bird Nest as a brand, meaning that I want to have something that's different that people, may want to copy.
What I kept coming back to, because we'll talk a little bit about your website and selling things that aren't handmade and all that in a second, but either way, even if you had copycats, you have so many reviews, people who purchase and then come back and review and then purchase again. Your fans are fanatic, they're brand ambassadors, and multiple people ask me, how did she get people to keep coming back to review? So how did you do that?
I have always believed and still believe that our customers are such the web really that holds our business together. Like, to me, that will never go away. I will never not be excited when we get a sale. I mean, on our website, on Etsy, I still have, like, I have it on my computer that when we get a sale, it just pops up, and every single time it's like the first sale I've ever had. Like, I still get so excited, because how amazing is that something that I've created is in front of somebody and they buy it. You know, we do have, you know, a very, very strong fan base, and we have fanatical fans, and we love that, and we love our Three Bird Nest fans, and they're our eyes and ears too. If someone's copying us, that's how we find out. If someone's stealing our photo, which happens crazy all the time, that's how we find out. And if they have ideas, we listen to them. Other colors for products, and again, going into I want the shirt she's wearing in the outfit.
Right.
That's where we've grown, is because we listen to our customers. I want to know their input. Do you like this? Do you not? Why? Why did it fit? Did it not fit? And every once in a while, I'll shoot an email to a customer, like out of random, saying, "Hey, it's Alicia. I got your order. Like, can you tell me if you liked how it was delivered to you and packaged? Like, were you excited? Did you even think about it?" And just totally random for me, because I want to know unbiased, opinions. I want to know, were you happy with how it was delivered? Because I can see our reviews, and if we get a bad review, I know our shipping was delayed. I know we moved warehouses. I know that.
Right.
But when you got the product, were you happy with it? And if not, why? And that's, what I think has allowed us to be, really in tune with our customers.
So you said you randomly send emails, and of course you interact on Facebook. Was there other, sending a note in the package, or what? You talk about the connection that you have, but how did you form that? Especially at the beginning, you didn't start with a million Facebook fans,
Right. In the beginning, it was definitely, a bounce back card for, hey, here's 10% off your next order. We run, discounts on our Facebook page, so, come follow us on Facebook, and really asking our customer to tell a friend. If you love our products, have a friend, come shop us, tag a friend, and, really asking who's already buying from us to be our ambassador. And that's really in the beginning what we did, and we did that through the inserts, through our packages, handwritten notes, connecting with them and having them be a part of our design process, showing them sneak peeks behind the design, because I want people to not just see what they see on Facebook. I want them to know what goes on behind the scenes. I have kids. I'm running around half the time, with my hair in a messy bun, and it's that's the reality, and I want to keep it that way, and I think being able to have that realistic approach, I think, works.
That's what we try and do also with the show, just behind the scenes, and just letting people see what's happening, because it's just a little bit more fun.
It is. It really
to get to know you rather than just the shop.
Right.
So before we jump to your website, I want to go back. When you started making your handcrafted materials, then you said that it was out of your home and people would come get the fabric, then they would go do it. Once you started hiring people, how did you maintain your design vision and the quality when other people started executing for you?
It was all still out of my house. So everything, supplies and everything, I would go and pick up all the fabric, or I would order it, and it would come to my house, and then everyone that sewed for me would come and pick up the materials, and even still they come here now. But it's something where it wasn't a difficult thing for me to manage, because I still am there every day, and then, everybody that came in, was doing the shipping or touching the product, they know my expectations. They know what I want the customer to receive. I literally, I say, I want them to receive Christmas. When they get a package from us, I want them to be excited and to be like it is a little Christmas for them, regardless of what month it is,
Right.
And I think having the right people is also huge.
Yeah, let's talk about that, hiring the right people. How did you do that, especially at the beginning?
I think it definitely is, you have to go with, at the end of the day, kind of what your gut is. I think everybody can be trained and grown and inspired to grow, but you need to look for that that skill set or that work ethic that you can build upon. And so for me, that was something that from the beginning is what we did, and having a team that is just as passionate and wants to see the business grow is huge, because it's not all glamorous. It's a lot of hard work. It's not fun all the time. Right. It is a lot of long days, and sometimes where you seem oh my gosh, how are we gonna get through this? It's a lot, and I expect a lot from the people that work for me. I do, because this is my business and they're a part of it, and I also want them to succeed too. So knowing that every single person that touches the business and is part of it, you are part of the success of the business. There's nothing that anybody does related to my business that isn't important, because you, at the end of the day, touch a customer. Like, are you, if you're packaging the product, okay, well, the customer's going to open that. So if you don't put the care and you just throw something in a bag, like, that has that perception that customer has, and you ruined Christmas. You know what I mean? Like, you ruined it.
No pressure. Don't ruin someone's Christmas.
Yeah, and it is something, and it is difficult to control when you get bigger. It is. And I think that's kind of what we have found now, is we outsourced our fulfillment, and we had somebody else doing our fulfillment for us, and it seemed like a great idea. Oh yeah, we don't have to do shipping or anything, and it wasn't. For us, it's not. Because if we're shipping it, I can make sure that everything's wrapped in tissue and has a note, or, a heart drawn on the invoice, or something that has like that hand, felt touch, which is what we want to deliver to our customers. I can't manage that when it's not here. I can ask for it to be done, but is it going to get done? No. So we now are kind of bringing everything back under one roof, which is fantastic, and it's exciting for us because we'll have that control. Our customers can get, the little freebies, and when we do our shipping, we do that. We include like a suckers or a piece of candy, or or something. So just something that's a little bit extra, just to know that we care. At least hope they get. And one thing, don't include caramels when you do shipping. We learned that the hard way. They melt in transit, so when the customer gets it, it's caramel. It's
a free tip. Now, so you talked a little bit about this. Tell everyone why you decided to have your website and start selling from your website, excuse me, versus everything on Etsy.
Sure. So for us, we have our collection on Etsy, and everything that we sell on Etsy has to fall within their definition of handmade. Which is fine, and which is what we can do. But once you get to a certain point of growth, we can't have a product and list it and only have 20 of it. It's not even worth it. It's not worth it. And I don't like that. I like being able to have enough product for a good 6-week cycle. So for people to be able to see it on Facebook, see it on Instagram, either buy it initially, or if they come back, it's still there. Because it takes a couple weeks for people to see product on Pinterest, and really get into social media. So we're always going to be true to our roots. We're always going to have like our product and collection that is 3-bird nest, that is handmade and falls into that category. But the company and like our vision of being able to provide looks, and we're doing hair tutorials now and makeup tutorials, and we have a YouTube channel, and we just started that, which is really fun. And having Instagram and Facebook, and really doing a lot of marketing, but from a connecting with our customers versus like a sales thing. We need to have the website, because I want to sell the shoes, I want to sell the pants, I want to sell the headband, and I want to sell the jewelry that we're doing. But I want to sell the complete look. I just don't want to sell you one product.
Awesome. Now, a lot of you probably know, as your business has exploded, you've gotten a ton of positive press, which is just amazing. And so in some websites, in my research, I found some reactions to that about people accusing you, I guess, would be the word, of putting things on Etsy that weren't technically handmade, and not disclaiming or whatever. So what do you have to say to address those people?
Sure. And it depends on what. There's been like 3 main areas that I've found that people are angry about, and one of them is, well, of course she buys her stuff from China because she's using their photos, which to me is laughable, because they have stolen our photos, and it's our photos that are all over, especially in China. Their manufacturing websites steal our photos all the time and make knockoff product. There really isn't much we can do about it, especially internationally. We let the website know, the host of the website know, and we file the the intellectual property complaint, but that's as much as we can do. And I don't want to be spending my time doing that anyways. And then people are people have been up in arms about, oh, there's no way she's handmade and can make 3,000 headbands a month. And we can. We can. I mean, we have an amazing staff, and this is what what my team does.
Yeah, 16 people sewing.
Yes, I mean. and again, within the realm of Etsy, I think, which is the thing that people do need to be a little bit more educated on. There is handmade is defined in 3 different ways. One is obviously 100% from raw materials to finished product. You cut, make, design, sew everything, and then 2 is assembly. So you can have like these two things and put it together, and that's still considered handmade. Or 3, if you are the original designer of the product and you've made it, but you need help with production and you've run it through Etsy, because they have like this process you have to go through, you can have product sourced as well, as long as it's your original design. So there is 3 different avenues, and I think people, their initial thought is, there's no way she's making everything. Of course I'm not. I'm not making everything, because my business has grown. That doesn't mean that my items aren't handmade. It doesn't mean that we don't support, local sewing, that we don't have, people sewing our products and making our products. Are our products handmade? Yes. Do they all fall into the raw materials to finished? No. But they all comply 100% with Etsy's, definition of handmade, and we are not doing or breaking any rules or pushing those limits, because if we were, you would see you would see exactly what we're selling on our website on Etsy. And that's why there's a clear defining difference of, our Etsy shop has, 200 products, our website has 1,200. So, I mean, we're not, if I was trying to get away with everything, like, I would have 1,200 on both. Where I'm not. We want to be transparent. We want people to know, who we are. We try to put as much information out there as possible, but, the accusations of people saying, oh, yeah, she's a sellout, or Etsy's a sellout for having her, or whatever, I mean, that's their opinion, and that's fine if that's what they think, but, at the end of the day, like, this is my business. I know every step of the way of what we do, and I know that, our products that are on Etsy are our products, and they, are compliant, I guess, if you will, with Etsy's definition of handmade. So if, that people shouldn't be, if they have an issue with, Etsy should only be her making everything from raw materials to finish, if that's what people think, then they take it up with Etsy, not with me.
Right. Now, you said something that was gold in there. You talked about going and flagging images, and you said it with negative comments, and you said multiple times, I don't want to spend my time doing that, which is such a lesson for all of us who are still at the beginning stages, that we can't be spending our time doing that. So why don't you talk us through what your average day is like? What do you spend your time doing, just what's your day like?
So I won't talk about my day right now, because all my day has been right now is like working on our logistics issues, so that's not very fun. But an average day it's a little bit of everything, which I think is to be expected. So I am always have something in the design process. I always have something in production process. We always have something in the creative process, from photography or samples or styling, which is obviously, fun.
Yeah,
we love that.
So fun.
Yeah, and then, I do have business stuff that I have to, manage, which is overall, running the business. Do we have enough staff to support, running numbers? Which products do we need to get more of? Photography, or, what products do we need to get, shots of? And then what's next? So what are we doing now, and then what are we going to be doing next year, and how are we going to get there? And, my day is, of course, you start off with the kids and run around, and then I leave here and go pick them up and go home, and my husband makes dinner. He's awesome. He's a very good cook. I am not. And we have dinner as a family, and after they go to bed, I'm working again. So I am, back on finishing up with anything that's really kind of more that I don't need to be like in the office to do. I try to kind of put off, if I can, till the evening, and also reaching out to other people from coordinating with that have the same demographic that we market to, and we do try to do that. So we do try to partner with other businesses that share a similar demographic, but we don't compete with each other, because then it makes sense. And really looking for opportunities like that. And
now those types of partnerships, and back before you got all the press, you were featured on like a big blogger would write about you.
Absolutely.
How did you get those things?
Contacting them.
You contacted them.
Yeah.
Let me repeat that.
Yeah.
She contacted them.
Yeah, and again, I mean, it's if you sit back and you have your product and you put it on Etsy, or you put it on your website, or you put it wherever, and you sit there and watch it, have fun, because you're not going to sell it. You put it on and you're relentless. You don't stop until you are selling.
Preach.
Again. Yeah. And I think that's where people, oh my gosh, you're so lucky. Everything you touch turns to gold. No, it doesn't. It doesn't touch to gold. I work my butt off and I don't sleep, and it's not luck. It's hard work. We all are, any opportunity that we have, regardless if we're in the office or if we're on vacation, or, like one of the gals took her son to a baseball game and was wearing our stuff. So she hands out cards. Here. And that's, what you do. Awesome. It's like you always have to be thinking of where's your next sale coming from. And, making sure that you represent your product, and making sure that you keep selling. So
Which is why I would add it's important to love what you do, because you're doing it 18 hours a day.
Yeah.
Before we jump to her giveaway, which you're going to freak out about, we are going to play a good old game of Mad Gab. So we will be back with her giveaway right after this.
Man, I have to admit, it's much better to do my key takeaways on the beach than it is at home in Oklahoma. Weren't you amazed at Alicia's story? Before we jump into the key takeaways, I hope that you heard that she failed before she succeeded. Yes, she had other businesses. She is more of a businesswoman, but she also started her Etsy shop just like a lot of us do, trying to make some side money. So I hope that encouraged you. Now, the first key takeaway, she studied her marketplace. The forums she was talking about, those were the forums of other Etsy sellers, not customers. She was researching what problems other Etsy sellers were having so she could see if she could be strategic, if she could be proactive, what she could do to solve the problems that other sellers were talking about, which is so smart. Second, she stood out by creating a brand. Now, yes, she made sure that her photo stood out, but she went way past that by thinking about every facet of the photo. Instead of just a scarf, she thought about, well, what kind of hairstyle should the model have? What kind of shirt should she be wearing? She started to create a brand. It's got to go beyond product into a lifestyle. So go beyond just having your photo stand out. Number 3, she chose to grow. She made the decision to staff up. She made the decision to put every penny back into her business. So ask yourself, are you ready to grow? Have you made the decision, I'm going to start growing now and investing back in my business? And do you even want to? Maybe you don't, but you've got to figure that out. Number 4, she put in the time. She spent a lot of time day in and day out, and then she did that for years. So you've got to put the time in and the effort in, which is why it's important that we love what we do as entrepreneurs. And lastly, number 5, she guards her time and energy. I hope you heard her say how little time she spends on negative comments or criticism that's not constructive, or what her competitors are doing. She's not doing that kind of stuff. She's doing what she needs to be doing, big picture thinking, and that's what you need to do for your brand as well. I also thought it would be good to add that her model that you see in all her pictures, that's Alexa. She was one of her first employees, and like she said in the interview, they would run back during breaks and they would take pictures on an iPhone. Well, they're basically still doing the same thing. She still works for her, it's just now they have a photographer and they schedule the shoots at a certain time. So even though it seems huge from the outside, and it is, she has a big operation, she just took steps to get there, step by step, and you guys can do the same thing. Last week, the Pursuit Prize was an awesome Pursuit mug and a free copy of my best-selling book, and the winner of last week's giveaway is Gabrielle. So Gabrielle, I will reach out to you about receiving your awesome Pursuit Prize. Now let's get back to the game and see what Alicia Shaffer is giving away this week.
Hello, everyone. Okay, let me talk to them first. Excuse me, talk show. Okay, Periscope, hey. This is behind the scenes of the Pursuit.tv. It's my show, and I thought I would show you guys how every time we play a game. So if you're commenting or whatever, we can't see your comments, but go ahead and give us a heart while we play. Okay, so Alexa's going to give me 30 seconds, and you're going to try and guess what I'm saying. All right, so 3, 2, 1, go. Miss Turn High Sky. Miss Turn High Sky.
Oh my God.
Miss Turn High Sky. Mr. Nice Guy.
Mr. Nice Guy. Yeah. Okay. I'm so bad at these.
That was pretty good. Hill hurried huff. Hill hurried huff. Hill hurried huff.
Oh my gosh, I don't know.
Okay, next one. Oh man, that's too long. Next one. Long gopher dew. Long gopher dew.
Long overdue.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
2. Yes. 2. Awesome.
Okay, well, that's good. All right, so swipe to the right and you'll have your list,
okay,
which I have not seen. And then count down so she can give you your time. I'm ready.
Mm-hmm.
Are we getting lots of hearts on Periscope? Okay.
Okay, ready?
Yes.
Okay, go. Feet, verb, list, her.
Fever blister.
Oh, yes, you did it. Okay. Hidden, or hide, hen, tickle, wins. Hide, hen, tickled, wins. Hide, hen, tickle, wins.
Pass.
Okay,
no idea.
Isles of View. Isles of View. Isles of View.
I love you?
Yes.
You kind of gave me a
Yeah,
hint on that
sorry. I kind of slipped. Let's see. Mo
Time.
Thin. Oh.
Well, we suck at that game, don't
So,
we?
next game.
You guys are going to freak out. She has offered to generously give away a 30-minute consultation about your Etsy store with her. So go to thepursuit.tv/apply if you want 30 minutes with this genius about your business, okay? So go there and make sure to watch next week to see if you won the giveaway. I'm Kelsey Humphreys with Alicia Shaffer. Thank you so much for watching this episode of The Pursuit.